Oh, look, he's done to a turn. There's no escape, Max. Look what happened to the last one who tried.
How did a tiny toy that could fit in a pocket become one of the biggest obsessions of the 1990s and then completely disappear just a few years later? For a generation of kids, Mighty Max wasn't just another toy line sitting on a shelf. It felt like a hidden world. Every playset opened into monsters, traps, secret rooms, and entire adventures packed into something small enough to carry in a backpack. It was creepy without being terrifying, imaginative without being complicated, and somehow managed to feel massive despite fitting in the palm of a hand.
Fingers become monsters and spit you into open graves. Slam the coffin on dead Fred. Watch out, Max. The hand.
But after exploding into one of the hottest toy crazes of the decade, Mighty Max suddenly vanished. The toys disappeared, the cartoon ended, and one of the most creative brands of the era faded almost overnight. So, what happened? Well, to understand the rise of Mighty Max, it helps to look at the toy world of the early 1990s. Now, at the time, tiny portable toys were becoming a huge trend, and one of the biggest successes was Polly Pocket, a line of miniature playsets that folded into tiny compact worlds. Kids loved the idea of carrying entire adventures in their pockets, and the concept proved incredibly successful. But there was one obvious gap in the market. While Polly Pocket focused on bright colors and tiny dream houses, there wasn't really an equivalent aimed at boys. That's where Bluebird Toys stepped in. So the company looked at the success of portable playsets and asked a very simple question. What if the same concept was built around monsters, danger, and adventure instead of dolls and houses? And the answer became Mighty Max. Now, the idea immediately stood out. Instead of castles and cottages, the playsets were designed like monster heads, skulls, dragons, insects, and creatures that looked like they belonged in horror movies. But when kids opened them, entire worlds unfolded inside. Hidden rooms, trapdoors, caves, lava pits, and battle arenas transformed each toy into its own miniature adventure. And at the center of it all was Max himself. Now, according to the story, Max was an ordinary kid who discovered a magical red cap that allowed him to travel through portals into dangerous worlds filled with monsters and villains. And that simple premise gave the entire toy line a sense of adventure. Every playset wasn't just a location, it was another world Max had to survive. So when the toys launched in 1992, kids responded immediately. The designs were unlike anything else on the shelves. They felt gross, mysterious, and exciting all at once. And because the toys folded open into entire environments, they felt bigger than they actually were. Every set encouraged imagination. Kids can invent battles, create stories, and connect the different worlds together. And the line quickly expanded into multiple categories. Larger playsets called Doom Zones became the centerpiece of the brand, while smaller collectible sets known as Horror Heads offered a cheaper entry point for kids who wanted to build their collections. And the variety kept the line exciting, because there always seemed to be another monster, another location, or another hidden world waiting to be discovered. However, the toys weren't the only reason the brand exploded. In the early 1990s, toy lines often became truly successful when they crossed into television, and Mighty Max, of course, followed the same path. In 1993, the animated series premiered, and it changed everything. The cartoon took the basic idea behind the toys and expanded it into a much larger mythology. Max wasn't just a kid stumbling into random adventures anymore. He was now the chosen cap-bearer, destined to fight evil across time and space. The show introduced supporting characters like Virgil, a sarcastic mentor figure, and Norman, a massive Viking warrior who protected Max during battles. And then there was Skullmaster. Voiced with unforgettable intensity, Skullmaster became one of the most memorable villains of the era.
You're a worm. An insect. I'm nothing.
He gave the series a level of danger and tension that stood out from many cartoons at the time. But what really made the show work was its tone. It balanced humor, horror, mythology, and action in a way that felt smarter and darker than many children's cartoons of the period. Episodes explored monsters, ancient legends, historical locations, and science fiction concepts while still keeping the pacing fast and exciting. The show also arrived during a time when action cartoons were dominating kids' television. And unlike some toy-based series that existed mainly to advertise products, Mighty Max actually developed its world and characters in pretty meaningful ways. And that helped push the brand to its peak. So by the mid-1990s, Mighty Max was absolutely everywhere. Toys, comics, games, fast food promotions, and merchandise turned it into a full multimedia franchise. And for a brief moment, it looked completely unstoppable. But underneath that success, problems were already starting to build. And one of the biggest issues was competition. The toy market in the 1990s moved incredibly fast, and successful ideas rarely stayed unique for long. Once Mighty Max proved portable playsets for boys could work, other companies of course rushed in with similar products. And suddenly, shelves were crowded with competing miniature worlds tied to major franchises and existing brands. And that made it harder for Mighty Max to stand out. And at the same time, the line itself started changing. As more and more sets were released, the quality and creativity became less consistent. Some later products felt smaller, cheaper, and quite less imaginative than the original Doom zones that made the brand famous. Fans especially noticed this with smaller releases that lacked the same level of detail and interactivity. And what once felt unique now started to feel repetitive. And in toy lines built around imagination, well, repetition can be quite dangerous. Then came another major problem. The cartoon ended. And unlike brands that constantly refreshed themselves with new animated series or movies, Mighty Max lost its biggest source of visibility. Without a show introducing new characters and new stories, the momentum slowed quickly. And that loss mattered more than it might actually seem. For many toy lines, the cartoon wasn't just entertainment, it was marketing, world building, and emotional connection all at once. Without it, the toys became harder to keep relevant in kids' minds. Behind the scenes, the company responsible for the brand also faced financial pressure. Eventually, Bluebird Toys was acquired by Mattel, and priorities shifted. While other brands continued moving forward, Mighty Max quietly faded into the background. By the late 1990s, it was effectively over. The toys disappeared from shelves, the adventures stopped, and one of the most creative toy lines of the decade vanished almost as quickly as it arrived. But like many things from that era, the story didn't actually really end there, because the kids who grew up with Mighty Max never really forgot it. And part of that comes from how different the line felt compared to everything else at the time. It mixed horror themes with imagination in a way that felt exciting without becoming too dark. It trusted kids to enjoy creepy monsters, strange worlds, and bizarre ideas while still keeping the experience pretty fun. And because the playsets were so interactive, the memories stuck. Opening a monster head to reveal the entire hidden world felt special. And even today, collectors hunt for rare sets online, especially the larger Doom zones and sealed playsets that survived intact. The cartoon has also developed a strong cult following, with many fans arguing it was far more ambitious than people realized at the time. And despite years of rumors and requests for a reboot, Mighty Max has never truly returned in a major way. And that absence has only actually made the nostalgia stronger. So what caused the rise and fall of Mighty Max? Well, the rise came from taking a simple concept and giving it a darker, more adventurous identity at exactly the right time. The toys felt creative, portable, and endlessly imaginative. The cartoon expanded the world even further, turning the brand into something much bigger than a toy line. But the fall came from oversaturation, changing trends, weaker later products, and the loss of the cartoon that kept the franchise alive. But the legacy never disappeared. Because for kids who grew up with it, Mighty Max represented something special. A toy that felt like an entire world hidden inside something small. A cartoon that felt bigger and stranger than most others on TV. And a reminder that sometimes the most unforgettable adventures come from the smallest places.